Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to an evening with The Walking Dead. Well, just like any good television show, we have our commercials too. So we'd like to thank our corporate sponsors who contributed to tonight's event. They are Audi, Beaulieu Vineyard, Grey Goose Vodka, and the Los Angeles Times. I wanted to take just a brief moment to mention Leslie Frankenheimer. Leslie Frankenheimer was a governor of the Television Academy and a good friend of all of ours. She recently passed away in January, and we all miss her, and our thoughts are with her family. I'd also like to thank Ray Proscia, who serves as the chairman of the Activities Committee, along with Robert O'Donnell, who is the Academy's Director of Activities. They, along with the staff, make evenings like tonight possible. Tonight is sold out, and we appreciate your interest and support in recognizing great television. Tonight, the Activities Committee is pleased to bring the cast and producers of AMC's critically acclaimed series, The Walking Dead, together for a special behind-the-scenes look inside the series that Entertainment Weekly hailed as the greatest thriller ever produced for television. The New York Post called it the best show to ever hit the small screen. The Walking Dead reigns as the most watched drama series on basic cable for adults 18 to 49 and adults 25 to 54. The series has also garnered 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for outstanding prosthetic makeup, as well as many other accolades. So we look forward to the second part. I'm sure all of you look forward to the second part of Season 3 of The Walking Dead, which will return on Sunday, February 10th at 9 p.m. on AMC. But before we get there, we thought we would take a look at some moments from the first half of Season 3. So roll the tape.
It's perfect.
It's secure?
The cell block is.
You are gonna beat this world. I know you will. They were taken.
By who?
This guy calls himself the governor.
I'll go after him. This place sounds pretty secure. I'm in.
He's coming.
You and I could end this tonight.
Ready? Daryl. Come on. Take it tight. Don't break legs! Almost there.
We have to go.
Well, we can't just leave her here. She'll turn. No.
Carl.
She's my mom.
Where is she?
No, no.
Oh, no, no. No.
Are you coming or not? Don't do this. Don't give me an ultimatum. Not after everything. Are you coming or not? You just slow me down anyway. Michonne!
It was you. You lied. Betrayed us all. This is one of the terrorists. Huh? Pearl's own brother. What should we do with them, huh? What? You wanted your brother. Now you got him.
That's a pretty good warm-up. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for tonight, Chris Hardwick, who is the host of AMC's Talking Dead. Talking Dead is the live after show where Hardwick spends time with fans, actors, producers, and TV enthusiast, recapping the most recent episode, Chris Hardwick.
Thanks, man. I don't need this, right? I'm just mic'd here, right? Here I am. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming out. This is huge. This is like the biggest event that's been held here in a really long, long time. So thank you guys for making that happen. They actually had to accommodate people in another section to live stream this. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. Are you guys excited? Are you freaking out? Oh, my God. I mean, you see, one of the most, I was a fan of the comic books before they said, we want to do this after show, and I was a fan of the first season of Walking Dead, and it really is, I mean, I can say this even though it seems like I'm biased, but it really is one of the most amazing shows on television, and I feel like the reason that we're able to have a Talking Dead is because the show is so good and so dense with drama and so much messed up stuff that you're shaking afterwards. Like, we are therapy afterwards to kind of help you guys, because you just can't go to bed right after that. Like, you need a drink or something. So we are that for you. We are a drink for your brain. And it's been a huge honor to get to know these folks and sort of, kind of be on the outer edge of the circle and go down and visit the set. And everyone's as cool as you would want them to be and super nice. And we're all just sort of free. I haven't seen the second half of the season yet. So has everyone's seen up to this point, right? Pretty much? If you've not seen up to this point, you should leave, because we're going to talk about stuff, you guys. There's going to be some spoilers up to this point. So I'm super excited, ready to get in this. We're going to be live streaming this as well. I have some questions from the social media audience, and we're going to get into it. So I'm going to introduce everyone in order. So I'm going to start our first guest, ladies and gentlemen, as Glenn, Steve YEUN. Nice to see you. As Maggie, Lauren COHAN. Hello. Nice to see you.
You too.
We were there next to your boyfriend.
Okay, fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Daryl Norman REEDUS. Put you right there. As Michonne, DANAI GURIRA. Nice to see you. All right. Well, guys, Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln.
I know.
Sure. And of course, the new character this season that everyone was super excited about seeing coming onto the show is the Governor, David Morrissey. Right here. Hey, nice to see you. Next coming up is Andrea LAURIE HOLDEN. Co-EP and special effects ninja Greg NICOTERO. Mr. NICOTERO. Executive producer GALE and HURD. And of course, the guy whose brain thought of The Walking Dead. Please welcome Mr. Robert KIRKMAN. Which is sort of awkwardly in between Rick and the Governor. Keep you guys separate. This is so exciting. I have only watched up to the half-season finale. I don't know what's coming up yet. There's a lot of speculation. The show's coming back Sunday. A lot of things have not been resolved that I really need resolved in my life. Robert KIRKMAN, how are you? Where is your brain right now? Are you prepared for what you're about to drop on people on Sunday?
Yeah, it's really odd. I was telling people in the press line that I'm really excited for these episodes to air because there's always stuff in the episodes that I can't talk about. So every time an episode airs, there's more things that, you know, people are aware of. It's really difficult for me to do stuff like this because we're already like working on season 4, like the way the timing works. And so I've got a lot of that stuff in my head. So I'm hoping I don't let anything slip while I'm here.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of really awesome stuff coming up and a little bit of resolution for some of the things that are hanging out there. So
I find you to be pretty bulletproof when it comes to spoil. You don't let anything go. Like sometimes if we're just hanging out, I'll just casually go, so how does it end? And I can never trick you into telling me anything.
You should ask better questions. How does it end is a pretty easy one to dodge.
Yeah, but see, I'm hoping if I can get you to spill one thing, it's like, ah, crap, I might as well just tell you everything now. How do you have these 2 universes in your head. You have the comic book universe and you have the television universe. How do you keep track of what's what, and how do you know, like, oh, this hasn't aired yet, I can't talk about this yet?
Yeah, I don't really know. The comic book stuff is so much different, you know? It's so much more advanced. The characters are in a much different place. So when I think about what's in the comic book and what's in the show, it doesn't really translate. So it's not really the show I view as like an alternate past.
Right.
So that stuff is easy to keep separate. But as far as keeping track of where I'm at when I'm doing interviews and stuff, it's it's a little tricky. I do a lot of research.
Gale, so you've been on the show since the beginning, and so how have you watched the show evolve? Like, what have you seen now that you've had a chance to step back and in retrospect look at the last three seasons? What is it that you've seen happen?
Well, I love the fact that every episode that I watch, coming from a feature background, is like a mini movie. And what impresses me is not only the scope that our directors, including the fantastic Greg Nicotero, who's directed 3 this season.
Yes.
But the reason people watch the show, in addition to the fantastic writing, is because of the cast. Because they make it dead real. This is a world where you're invested in the characters, and we are just blessed to work with such a fantastic group of people, and that's what really gets me, is seeing the evolution of each member of our cast of characters.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask me in interviews stuff like, "What do you think it is about The Walking Dead that makes so many people watch?" I go, "Because it's good." Like, what a ridiculous question! Like, it's the perfect synthesis of like the story's great, the acting's great, the special effects are amazing, and the show just looks gorgeous. Greg, how do you sort of up the game each season when you kind of take a step back and go, okay, here are the practical effects and the CG stuff that we did last season. What can we do this season to up the game?
Well, coming from a fan perspective, because I love zombie stuff. My first gig was George Romero. I mean, it's I put stuff out there that I want to see. The advantage of being a producer on the show is it kind of gives me free reign to come up with some really cool stuff. Last season the writers all came to K&B, had a little field trip, and when they left the shop, I got a call from one of them, and they said, "Oh, we have this great idea of this like big giant bloated walker that comes out of the well." So it's sort of that came from an idea that they had just walking through K&B and seeing the thousands of body parts and severed heads and things that we have laying around, some real, some
It's a
fake.
pretty scary place.
It's pretty amazing, and at any given day you can go there and just see a guy like beating the crap out of a zombie head with a pipe, and then everyone laughing as blood flies everywhere.
And then you go into the shop. That's the
well done.
Really, I don't. But, I mean, the thing that I find fascinating about the fans of the show, and I know everybody on this panel will say the same thing. You get stopped in the street and people say, "I love the show," and they say, I told my friend to start with season 1, episode 1, and they're addicted. It's like they can't stop. You start with that episode, you go, and then all of a sudden the first 6 episodes are over. And they're like, "Wait, there's only 6? I want to see more." And then they plow through it. So if you see people with circles under their eyes holding Walking Dead DVDs, they watch the entire 2.5 seasons in one sitting. And it's pretty astounding that the show and this cast and our great crew really is able to do something where people just they attach.
I'm actually surprised at some of the stuff you guys are able to get away with, where it's like, "Oh my God, Rick just cut that guy's face in half," and this is television, but it looks, and I think it's a testament to how good the effects are that on television, where people are watching up close, you guys will do close-up shots of effects, as opposed to like, well, let's just keep that off in the distance. Like you guys, it's up close and it looks fantastic.
Well, you know, you have to give a lot of credit to Visual Effects Stargate, because we work in tangent with them and Daryl Pritchett. There's a lot of really great people that contribute to that. But you know, the thing is that it's fun to kill monsters. I mean, who doesn't want to chop up, you know, zombies and dead bodies? So.
Well, I think people in a zombie apocalypse would prefer not to have to do that.
All right, you got me on that one.
Laurie, we talked just for a quick second backstage, and you said something I thought was really interesting, where you go, "Are you mad at Andrea this season?" I'm like, "No, I'm not mad, but I keep seeing her get into these relationships, and I'm like, come on, that guy!"
I know.
And
Yep.
Sorry?
was it? No, not you. Right.
You're sitting right next to him.
David, this is a private conversation. What are you doing?
Just have a little word.
But I see, you know, it's like, do you think, like, it just happened with Shane too. Like, do you think Andrea kind of sees that dark side, or does she just see, like, you know, these are strong companions, this is survival?
I don't think she sees the dark side at all. I mean, you have to understand that Andrea doesn't know and isn't privy to what the audience knows.
Yeah.
All she knows is that, you know, at the beginning of the season, she was out in the wild for 7 months, you know, living in the woods, and they come across this beautiful town, and she's able to breathe and hope and dream, and she thought that, you know, those days were over, and it's not like she chose the governor over Michonne. She chose a life, a community. Is he charismatic and wonderful? Yes.
Don't try and get on my good side now. Mister.
I can't take my eyes off you.
But he, you know, so far he hasn't shown himself to be a brute. I mean, there's a lot of things that he's done that she's seen that she can kind of understand. I mean, the fact that he had a zombie daughter in his closet, well, you know, but at the same token, I sat next to my dead sister for 2 days waiting for her to turn. So,
that's true.
You know, the rules have changed. But yes, I think Andrea is an alpha female, and I think that she's drawn to strong men. Whether they happen to be crazy or not, you know, that's the unfortunate part of the mix.
But she's not. You know, what's interesting is that she's not a weak character drawn to strong men. She's a very strong character drawn to strong men. And it's even the tension of, like, why don't you put me up there with a gun? Like, you know, she's kind of a badass character.
She is. She is.
Do you think, I wonder in a situation like this, is that idea of the town, and you said, like, well, you know, it's a community again that she hasn't had in a long time. Is comfort one of the most dangerous things that you can have?
Yeah, I mean, there's an expression, if it's too good to be true, it is. And that's Woodbury.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, after she lost her sister and her family, it was too good to be true. But she, you know, she drank the Kool-Aid. She saw, you know, pregnant women walking around with no fear. She saw people walking dogs and, you know, these beautiful elderly people planting their gardens, and she's like, are you kidding me? It's the end of the world, and look at what this man has created. Sign me up, I want to be a part of this.
She did also see people beating the crap out of each other with zombies chained by the throat.
Well, my best friend, my best friend has 2 zombie pets. So, you know, there are no rules here.
You do.
It's different.
You do have those.
You'll get to meet Chris.
I think, David, it's been amazing watching you this season, because if you read the comic book, the governor, he's kind of a dirtbag from like, you know right away, like, this guy's bad news. But what we really got to see you do is humanize the guy. Like, we didn't kind of drop in when the governor was already like basically a supervillain. We've kind of taken a little bit of a journey with you. Obviously no character thinks that they're evil, but what's going on in the governor's head up until the mid-season finale?
Well, the starting point for the governor was Robert's book, The Rise of the Governor, which is a fantastic novel. And that's his backstory right there. That's who the man is, and we wanted to bring more of that character into the first half of this season. So it's more about who he is, his complexity. I mean, you're right. In the comic books, he starts the minute you see him, he's doing quite evil things right off the bat, and you can hit a creative ceiling with that really quickly. But so it was about giving him some humanity and something to fight for, and I think that thing with his daughter is very understandable. I think everybody in this world has lost someone that they care about, and Herschel had a barn full of people that he cared about, and it's not out of the norm to want to have some of that past and to love someone and hope that they, to be close to them even though they've turned. And that's really, I think everybody in this world has that.
Close to them with their heads in an aquarium.
Well, I think that's, I mean, it's weird, but I think that's,
He's desensitizing himself.
It's a bit like watching lots of TV screens at once. But no, it's like, but no, he is. That's what he's doing. He's seeing the enemy, and he's looking at it, and he knows that if those heads are in the tank and he's watching it, that he's alive. That's what he's using it as fuel. If they're dead, he's alive. That's the bottom line. And you have to dehumanize the enemy. And even if they're, the undead, you have to be looking at them and confronting them and knowing that you're better than them, because you've got to go out and fight them. So it's all about, psychologically ramping yourself up to know that you're better than your enemy, that you can beat your enemy. Know your enemy. Mm-hmm. You've got to know your enemy.
No, he's crazy.
Know your enemy. That's all I'm saying.
Was his daughter was that his humanity dying in that last?
Well, that's what the second half of the season will explore. I mean, I think, he's in quite a dark place where we leave him. He's got, he's angry at the world. He's closing down. But there are people around him, Andrea and possibly Milton and people like that, who, maybe they can rescue his humanity and remind him of the things from his past, and that will be the fight going forward.
Now, I feel like you guys are pretty emotionally matched at this point. He just lost a daughter. Mm-hmm. You lost your wife. You do have a new baby. But Rick definitely went to
crazy town.
A crazy town for a while. I didn't want to say it that way, but I appreciate that you took the pressure off.
Yeah.
We did a poll on Talking Dead, which was, and by the way, I want to point out, this is part of what the amazingness of the show is that, no character is safe. Laurie died episode 4. Like that would be normally for another show like a season finale, and that's episode 4.
And irony as well. Yeah, we lost T-Dog as well.
T-Dog! Oh. So I got all these tweets in all caps that were like, "Not T-Dog!" It was so fun to see. And he was so sweet. He came on the show and he just got choked up, and he was such a lovely
It was very
guy.
emotional.
He was. So we killed him. But what you did, like after, where you sort of go on the killing spree. Most of the people in our poll said, yeah, that I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was in a great deal of distress, but there was method to the rampage. I mean, I was trying to find the scene of the crime. Yeah. I mean, so it wasn't just sort of, I mean, of course it was. I wanted to kick their asses. Yeah. But actually, at the end result, the net result was I just wanted to see evidence. I looked in my son's eyes, and that gave me all I knew. But I think there's something incredibly pragmatic about Rick, and possibly why he's such a sort of tenacious and good leader. He just went, no. Denial, one of the qualities of grief, and I wanted to sort of show as many of those in the aftermath as I could.
That was a rough episode. I think because I watched the episodes a couple hours before we do Talking Dead, and I was really, I actually needed a Talking Dead of my own to get me out of it, and I didn't have it. So when we did the show live, like I was visibly like, okay, we're gonna get through this. Like I really was shaken up because your performance, and then Chandler was amazing in that episode.
I mean, how good is Chandler?
Chandler Riggs, yeah. I mean, it's one thing to just see the tears streaming down his face, but then you hear the gunshot and you just see this cold slab of a shell of a person just walking by quickly.
Well, certainly the second half, the arc, the story. I mean, it is the only downside to the show is the fact that we lose incredible characters and incredible actors like John Bernthal, Sarah Wayne Kelly, Jeff DeMunn, and ad infinitum, But I do think it probably is will be one of the enduring strengths of the show, is the fact that it keeps reinventing itself. You know, and all the characters keep sort of, you know, there's a, you know, the group dynamic changes, and, you know, it feels like we are a moving target, but certainly Chandler Riggs' performance in the back eight is spectacular. We lost one of, in my opinion, my finest leading lady in Sarah Wayne Callies, but what it did to the story was magnificent, and what that actor did was breathtaking.
Yeah, well, because at this point now, the show, the survivors never can feel safe. They're in this situation where they can never feel safe, and because the show has this dynamic with the audience, where anyone could just go at any moment with no warning, you never really, you feel that.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm getting attached to people.
That's it, and you root for them. I think that's why people watch it in groups as well, is because you have that kind of, you know, you want people to survive, you know, and when they do, it's heart-wrenching. I mean, I remember the day when we had to do that scene, and I had to take, the writer said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm taking my contacts out." You know, because whenever I have to do an emotional scene, I just take my contacts out. It means I can't see, but it also means that, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And then, you know, it was just agony. The whole crew felt it. You know, it's when, you know, Maggie comes out, and I thought Lauren was just magnificent with the baby, and it was a real baby as well, which is just like, oh my Lord. and the mother's there as well, and there were a couple of takes when it went a bit dark, and I was screaming at a baby, and and I had to apologize at the end, and they were just like,
it's a professional acting baby.
Yeah, that's it.
Trained.
Stunt baby.
Yeah. Only call me by my character name.
That was like the first zombie that I my first kill was the one in the girl with that actually my daughter's been doing an impersonation of this Christmas. Scarred for life, and it's the one with the baby with the teeth, and I shoot her in the head, and I was so worried about this, and I was going up to her, and I was just going all through the day, and I was like, "Are you cool with all of this?" And she was like, she didn't speak because she had sort of her teeth wired up by him, but eventually after about the fourth time, she said, "What are you talking about? This is the fourth zombie I've played this year," you know. And she was 11.
Yeah.
So I was like, after that, I was like, whatever.
Do you think I guess it's hard to say because obviously this, you know, we're still in season 3, but how broken do you think Rick is at this point? He never, you know, it's like he and Laurie, like, they almost started to make up, and then he never got that chance. So is this that hole there forever?
Yeah, I certainly think that when you lose someone that close to you, it changes you irrevocably, and the situation that and how it happened. I think Rick is one of these people that punishes himself. I mean, he blames himself continually, and I think that it's sort of, I've always said this from the get-go, is that it sort of degrades him. He starts to, it's beautiful being able to play a guy that starts in one place and then changes completely. I think it's an incredibly ambitious and bold thing for AMC to do, to have a principal character who is not the same guy that you met in the first episode.
Right.
And I think all of these characters do that. I think that that's one of the most compelling things, certainly this season and last season, is that you see these people change.
Oh, those jerks in the bar.
Oh,
when you just blam blam, like, oh, Rick's gone. Like, there he goes.
Oops.
Yeah, those guys didn't change very much.
No.
He just shot him.
Well, they changed a lot. They went from being alive to
dead,
not being alive.
Yeah.
And also the way that the show, it's just that emotional tugging of, you know, they kill a main character and that's devastating, but then they sort of force you to have a hope at the same time because she has a baby. And now you guys have a baby to take care of in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, and he did a great job, I thought, of looking after.
Oh my God. You know, I was doing, I do a lot of stand-up on the road, and when I do, people always say, like, that scene with Daryl and the baby. I'm like, I know, I almost got pregnant watching that. That's how intense it was. Just watching this guy, like, as a guy, I was so like, oh, I could change him. Like, I started to feel that. Just, you're watching all these characters flip-flop, and you're watching Daryl go from really just kind of sort of an obnoxious redneck to like, he's a real valuable member of the group and compassionate at the same time.
Yeah,
Did you get a lot of feedback on the baby holding thing?
Ovaries exploding.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I did. I mean, you know, the thing about him too is like he's becoming this new man. You know, he was sort of destined to become Mini Morrow. You know, so you know, having people rely on him and stuff is giving him this sense of self-worth that I think he would have never had before. So.
And now, of course, the big. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think the first episode that we're hoping that we see, but I think it's pretty obvious that some serious stuff's going to go down with you and Merle. But now that Merle's been ostracized from that group, I mean, it's kind of an unfair question because you know what happens, but
He's not coming to the prison.
No, he's.
He stepped on a lot of toes, that guy.
Do you feel that Daryl is far enough in with Rick's group, or could he be swayed by Merle?
Well, I mean, I think when you get those two brothers together, you know, little brother turns into little brother and does what big brother says. So he fights that. That's his own little personal battle. And, you know, Rick and the rest, you know, Rick is sort of like the brother that Merle wasn't, you know. So it's definitely, you know, some conflict. He's like your drunk uncle at a Christmas party. You just can't take the guy anywhere.
Well, but except that they stripped him of his stump knife, and now he's like, he's sort of like, they weakened him, basically. They weakened Merle, so.
Yeah, but, you know, he's still Merle.
He's still Merle.
You know, so.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's still Merle. DANAI, you know, before this season, of course, the big question was, when are we going to get to see Michonne? When are we going to get to see Michonne? And then, you know, finally, it was so genius. If you remember the season finale of season 2 of just, you know, saving Andrea, and there's DANAI, and then the pets. And so you were a character that people have been super, super excited about, and it feels like they were on board with you right away. How's the experience been for you this season?
It's been great. I mean, firstly, it's such an amazing, you know, cast and crew to join. So I was so, you know, wonderfully, like, enveloped into this group and indoctrinated by, you know, my bestie over there, you know, both on and off the screen. So it's been amazing. And it's been, you know, beautifully intense, you know, just adapting to the level of work, like physical and emotional, and also, of course, the beautiful direness of the set, you know, being out in the midst of, you know, George's heat and bugs and beauty and glory. So yeah, it's been really great.
I hope people really understand that, because I'm sure that I'm sure there are some people who are like, acting's not that hard. It's like, you know what? Go out into the dead heat of summer in Atlanta, swing a friggin' katana all day, get super emotional, like do that every day for like 12, 13 hours a day. I mean, what, you know.
And fight off the ticks.
They have to check themselves for ticks every day, because ticks love Georgia, it turns out, and they keep a lot of them there. And so you guys, it's really in kind of a hostile environment. It's not a cushy environment every day.
No, but I mean, there's some things that are really gratifying and like kind of refreshing about that. You know, there's so many aspects. Sometimes you have to get on a set or do work, and you have to get really kind of glammy and stuff. And it's really great that this show kind of says, forget all that and just, you know, tell the story. And you don't have to think about the last thing any of these characters are thinking about is how they look. You know, and there's something kind of refreshing about just being able to go on there and, you know, have actually more dirt sprayed on you than like the outside gives you naturally.
Yeah.
And just go for it, you know. And I kind of relish that. That's kind of fun.
Is there, because Michonne's pretty, she's got armor. She definitely has emotional armor. But do you think she has a breaking point ultimately, or is she just way past it?
No, I think really the end of episode 8 for her there was some breaking points happening for her. The sort of the loss of Andrea that she feels when that moment with her in the governor's cave, where she feels that she's really lost Andrea, that Andrea has chosen someone else over her, and that really leads her to kind of submitting to Rick and offering herself to him at the end of the episode, and saying not fully offering herself to him.
I missed that.
I came out wrong.
Very low subtext.
In the DVD extras.
Yeah. There's the scene.
Spoiler alert.
Her, you know, her.
No, he just lost his wife. What are you doing?
Hey, no, really saying, you know, let me be a part of the group is really what she's saying at the end of that episode, because she recognizes she needs community, and to actually go to that point for her is pretty much a breaking point. It's really saying I could go out and get 2 more pets and wander off into on my lone road again. But I'm choosing to actually become a part of a community.
Well, yeah, it's kind of rough because, you know, for sure, Andrea's character is the first, it seemed like the first person that she had, you know, like bonded with and trusted for a while. And how long do you guys, was it like about 8 months or so that these 2 characters were, what do you think is happening during that time? Are they just kind of like going from shack to shack and shelter to shelter?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, I think we lived in the woods. I think we hung out at Target. I think we were, you know, just
found a super Target.
We found a super Target. we built a backstory of all the things, our adventures, and we got a little map from the gas station, and we were like, okay, we went around here and here and here.
Oh my God, was there, in the Super Target, was there some kind of like Sex in the City clothes trying on montage? Shoes.
I tell you, we got to do this Andrea and Michonne and Target special. That sounds really awesome.
A flashback.
A tie-in.
Yeah.
I mean, you always wonder how you can do product placement and walk. There you go.
There you go.
But
Michonne, Windex.
They use the pets for the mannequins for the clothes, though, right? They didn't put the clothes on themselves. They put them on the pets as mannequins.
We redressed the pets. They got new
It's
jeans.
just like, I'm Chris Hardwick of The Talking Dead. In the zombie apocalypse, I'd like to be trapped in a Super Target. Like, you could totally just see that. Actually, you would. I mean, it would have everything that you would need.
Let's stop plugging Target.
So let's talk a little bit to you guys. I mean, you're like being a couple in the apocalypse it's a risky proposition, and actually, I feel like Glenn's character was scared of that to begin with, of like, I can't be in love. Do you feel? Obviously, he came around.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not?
I know.
Playing Glenn has been really fun because he's such a changing character, and it's real time and due to the circumstances, and you know, when you find Glenn and he balks at the chance to be with Maggie, it comes from a very selfish place, and it comes from a place where I think he's a very headstrong person, and he thinks that he always knows in his gut what's right, and he goes by his gut, but he forgets that, you know, he's a kid still, and he's still figuring stuff out as he goes, and then this happens, and it's an amazing thing, and then you're confronted with a whole nother bag
Can of worms.
Poo-poo.
Well, it is. I look at your character and I look at Daryl's character, and I just kind of see that, where Daryl's this hard ass, and then he softens up a bit, and then Glenn is, what I suspect would be like, he's this, sweet kind of nerdy kid who's just sort of, probably loves like Call of Duty and stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in this moment of trauma and crisis, he becomes like that scene with you where Rooker pushes you in the room and you just have a chair and a box spring. That's a seriously badass turning moment in the show.
Thank you. It was for me as an actor. It was a turning point, and for me, for Glenn as a character, it was a turning point. What was cool was that scream wasn't scripted, and it just came out at the end, and we just continued to film it. And it's just cool to see that the writers, producers, the directors, the crew are all there to support you, and you feel completely free. So for me as an actor, I felt like I could do no wrong in that moment, and hopefully it conveyed. But then, as a character for Glenn, he has everything stripped away, and it's down to bare bones survival, and survival not just for him, but to also live for the person that he loves, who is right next door. So what do? You do
Hulk smash.
Hulk smash.
I think our stunt coordinator, Russell Towery, is here. So
Russell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Russell.
Yeah, Lauren, some really awful taunting happened. Some almost really awful things happened with the governor.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's really the first. I feel like you've seen him like kill people, but I almost feel like what he did to Maggie was kind of worse, which was to say like, you know, I'm in control of you and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So what do you think is, you know, what's going on with Maggie at that point?
I think it's just the greatest torture in that point. I think it's interesting because it's something you'd kind of expect that might happen in this world with these kind of characters taking power and taking control. And I think it's just such a warped thing, isn't it? The governor needs to know so badly where this group is. Like he's playing with people that are such a diminished group and having us in separate rooms to each other and inflicting all this torture. And I think that at that moment, as well as we see at the end of that episode, it's like Maggie and Glenn will both do whatever it takes for at least one of them to survive. And I think even when she comes out, when I come out and reveal the whereabouts of the group, it's like, it's a very dangerous move to say where we are. And even if it is just for saving Glenn, it's like, how would this group survive? It's like, we all need each other. And I think in that moment, she knows that the group is not as strong without us too, even the risk that's taken by telling where they are and everything. But I think Maggie has a pretty tough run the first half of this thing. And it's just been, I mean, it's been an extremely emotional first half, and it's been an extremely heart-wrenching to lose people that we have lost, and especially with Sarah and Chandler in that episode. It was really a huge challenge and a hugely, I don't know, I'm so happy to have, I really think, and I know I'm probably biased, but I really feel like a lot of the ways that we're pushing boundaries are so interesting and so surprising to see on television, and the stories that we have. So I'm glad that as terrifying as it is doing justice to, I think, really what would happen at the end of the world. And it's keeping it real.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a million times, and when I first started watching the show, I would freak people out at parties, like just talking about the show. I'm like, you don't even understand. This is exactly what it would be like if there was a zombie apocalypse. You know, because it's just it feels so real and dirty, and like because really we think about the show, it's not really the zombie, it's not the walkers that you have to be afraid of. It's other human beings, because they will kind of like make zombie-head aquariums and do horrible things to you. And, I mean, I feel like I'm coming down on you a lot, but it's really,
you better watch it.
Go ahead. Okay.
But
I know where you are.
But we don't have any sport to watch. I mean, that's the truth. We don't have any live sport.
Yeah. That's true. Well, he's got like
ultimate.
zombie Olympics happening.
But it's not, but it's also, you know, you're frightened of other people, but you're frightened of yourself. I think your own capabilities in this world are different as well. You're challenged, you get challenged as a person. Who would you choose? Who would you save? You know, who are your friends? You know, so what this world is challenging you is your own perceptions of your goodness.
Sure. Well,
you know, what would you do? We like to think of ourselves as heroic, but when the chips come down, you might be running the other way, or you might be stepping on your friends to get out of there. You don't know. You don't know those things. That's what this world is asking those questions of these people all the time.
Well, it's interesting that you say a thing about goodness, because it's this environment, and I feel like something that Kirkman's really good at doing is taking characters, and then it's almost like a weird sport for you. It's throwing characters that you think you know into these horrible situations, and then going, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? Because goodness to you, that I'm sure the governor, when he goes and takes all the military weapons, that's a good thing that he's doing,
it's a
right?
very good thing. It's a logical thing. And it's also, you know, it's to do with the fact that it's about survival. What's going to make me survive longest? Why, you know, and you know, I think they're all asking those questions. And you can want to have humanity, and you want everyone to live together and be happy. But this world, you've got different values, you've got different things. You want to get through the day.
Right.
You want to be alive at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if that means other people are going to die, you might have to make those choices. And I don't think we have to look too far in our world to see people making those choices right here, right now as well. You know, it is a war zone that these people live in, and that's, you know, those choices are being made out there all the time.
Yeah. Well, we have I have a list of questions that people from various forms of social media, just so we could get some fan questions. And this is from Jacqueline. Hi there, I know it's a long shot, but I just thought I'd try my luck at getting a question on the panel. You win!
Can you read all of them in the voice that you think that they're saying?
Hello, I'm Sexy Jacqueline. I have a question for the panel. First of all, I have a very strange voice. If you, now I'm going to take it down. If you could, oh, this is a great question actually. So we'll ask all the performers this. If you could give one of your fellow actors an Emmy for a moment from the first half of season 3, which moment would you choose? Let's start with you, Laurie.
Andrew Lincoln, in the courtyard when he knows that his wife is dead.
Yeah.
Hands down. No offense.
No.
Yeah.
Well, all agreed. We all agree.
But that was,
What do you think, Jamie?
It's a really tough question. There's so many great things. I mean, you know, it's, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I really thought Stephen, when he was, that clip that we saw, I thought that was amazing. Because, you know, there's a sense of seeing a man being tortured. We've seen it very many times on films and TV, but he brought something different to that because his character changed in that moment. You see a man formed in that moment through the circumstances, and I thought that was brilliant. But you know, there's so many I could choose from. I mean, it's full of them.
And pretty much every character had a major emotional turning point in the first half of the season. You know, whether it be finding comfort in the community or losing, you know, or sort of going down this what we would perceive to be like a supervillain path in a weird sort of way, or going out on your own, or holding a baby, or becoming Rambo. The baby thing is adorable.
The baby thing.
It's adorable. It is adorable.
This guy right here.
Would it be weird if I just had you hold me for the rest of the interview?
You gotta try it.
I'm single. Come here. Little ass kicker. Little ass kicker right here.
Robert Kirkman, what is it like making a zombie television program?
I'm next.
Wait, or him?
No, that was Kirkman said.
Oh, that was Kirkman.
Yeah.
You said come over.
I did that
No,
once.
next for the REEDUS lap. I don't want to talk to you.
Get over here.
We did that once. You and I were doing some talk show or something, and
I don't care.
Okay, all right.
We snuggle all the time. This whole group.
Everything you say is law. Let's move over to what is your favorite moment in television in 2012 or 2013. What's your favorite moment on the show that you've seen so far, DANAI?
Oh, there's so many. I think you know the scene with the Stephen scene is really powerful. I also love the scene between Maggie and the governor. It just really touches into that sort of war zone aspect of what happens to a woman, what can happen to a woman's body and her vulnerability during a time when the rules are gone. And I think that really touches into that sort of war zone element that makes the show, the TV show, sorry, I'm coming from theater right now, that makes the TV show so powerful, is that it is who do you become and who does a woman become and what does she have to endure. And so I love that scene too.
What scene are you? What really steps out for you?
I kind of love all of the scenes. It's difficult because I don't watch the show, so it's quite hard for me to.
Oh, that's right.
To talk about those scenes because I haven't watched it. Although I did watch you do though.
Wait, you don't watch the show?
I should explain because we talked about this on Talking Dead. It's that.
I like Girls. Have you seen the show Girls?
Oh, the show Girls. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said the show Girls then.
I love Girls.
I like girls.
Girls are nice.
Yeah. You two be cuddling, but I like girls.
Girls are pretty. It's just the idea that you don't want your performance kind of affected by your perception of your performance, so you don't watch your performance on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a really is an interest. It's a good. That's it. I just didn't want because I didn't want people to be like Andrew Lincoln doesn't even like the show. Like no, it's not.
I love the show. I love
Yeah.
the show. And I love reading every script that comes out, and I love the story of these characters. But I just don't enjoy watching myself.
It's hard to watch yourself without judging, and you don't.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spell. It's kind of you do a spell, and I just don't want to get involved in it.
But whatever you're doing is working. So you didn't ask, but you got my support. Golf clap. That sounded like a place we should be putting our hands together. That was an Oprah moment. You're getting a car, and you're getting a car. This is from John. First off, can I just say that Michonne is my favorite new character right next to Tyrese? My question is for everybody, if there is one character that you could resurrect from the dead in the show, who would it be? For me, it'd be Morgan, if he is actually dead, or Jim, if he is alive. The end. So let's start with you this time, Stephen. If there's a character you could bring back, who would it be?
Damon.
Jeff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But I want to be diplomatic. All of them, I love all of them. But for me, hands down, Jeff is like. God.
That would be Dale.
That would be
Dale. Yeah, Dale. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Jeff DeMunn, Dale.
He just has a way of teaching you something just with the look. He's just such a wise and.
Yeah, I mean, also like even from a character standpoint and from a personal standpoint, like that's Glenn's sage. And I remember when we were doing the first season and the second season, we lived in the same areas. So I was like a fly on the wall for every Jeff DeMunn wise saying that he would put out. Oh, I gotta write that down. I gotta write that down. And I remember doing that scene with Laurie at the RV the second season, and in my head I was like, oh, I hope I can really get to that place to feel that emotion that Dale's gone. I never have an easy time acting, but that one was easy because
it was
yeah,
easy.
it just flowed.
We literally had to show up. I don't mean to say that in a strange way, but we had so much love for the actor and for the character that all we had to do was look at the RV, and he was, he was your sage, and he was the man that taught me the most. And we just kind of breathed, and it was like, oh, we're honoring Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was really he was really kind of the moral compass of the group for a while when all this stuff was that, that Rick and Shane are going off in these different directions, and no one could find Carl, and so he was the one sort of acting as the glue to try to pull everyone back together. We got to be this. We can't do too much of this. And then so when that goes away, who do you think is the moral compass of the group now?
Well, what was fascinating about that episode where he has that big speech in front of the whole group. That was a 9 or 10 page scene. We had one day to shoot that scene. And it originally was supposed to take place outside or on the campfire. We moved it inside because of weather. And just every single, we spent the day covering, and every single time Jeff's performance was spot on. I mean, the tears in his eyes. Every time I would say cut, everyone in the room was just mesmerized by everything that he said. And one of the things that I found tremendously fascinating, because that was the first episode that I had directed, there's a scene with Andrea and Dale in the RV, and we were rehearsing it, and they both were sitting in the RV, and I was sitting in the driver's seat watching the rehearsal. And it was one of the few times I literally felt like I had been transported into the RV and was watching Dale and Andrea talk. I wasn't watching actors, I was watching these two characters. And it was the most amazing experience. It was this last scene that we shot with Jeff that day. Yeah. And it was so sad because he really was such a fantastic presence on set. And to be able to be watching him and Laurie performing, and me not looking at them as actors, but looking at them as those characters. And I remember sort of turning around and going, did we film that? It was just the first rehearsal. We hadn't even had the cameras in yet. Yeah. But it was just, he and all of our actors bring that. Melissa McBride and Michael Rooker and Scott Wilson, who aren't here tonight, but everybody brings that same devotion. And it's hard because when those actors leave, it really, when Bernthal came down to shoot just that one scene for episode 8, it was like, we didn't want him to leave, and he didn't want to leave. They show up, and it's hard. It's really hard.
What's the process when you, maybe this is for Gale and Robert too, when you decide like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and have to kill a character. It's just an important way to spin the story. What is that process, and how hard is that process?
It's not fun, I will say. I mean, coming from working on the comic for so long, it's just a bunch of lines on a piece of paper. So it's like, oh, that person's dead. Okay, moving on. And that's really easy, and I enjoy it. But
you don't have to see the comic book characters at craft.
yeah, I don't have to really sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we put a tremendous amount of effort into in the writers' room to make sure that it is the right decision and that it does serve the story and that it is the right move, because there's a lot of weight to it, and it's very difficult.
I mean, the toughest part of all is making the phone call.
Do you have to do?
Which I do not do.
Okay.
I've had to do it once. No one wanted to call Sophia's family, the girl who came out of the barn, Madison Lentz, to say, and it had been tough because she started this season, the second season, saying, I'm so excited. I really want to be an actor. I've decided, because the first season she wasn't sure there's Madison Lentz, the actress.
Yeah.
And then we're going,
and then you're like, we're about to ruin that.
It was,
and so,
Happy birthday!
So I
There's other stuff you could do, right? But she was so amazing,
Yes.
and that scene in particular was, I mean, because I didn't see it coming. I thought, oh, it's television, they'll find her. And
well, we did find her.
You know better now.
Yes. Now I know better. But when that happened, I kind of I jumped off my couch, and then there was a lot of swearing, because it really was. I mean, what was that scene like for you?
Well, I thought John Bernthal was just magnificent in the whole lead up to that, and this frenzied side, a kind of wild man turned up on set, and it was just it was surreal, like most of those moments, and it was demoralizing. It was heart-wrenching as well, and I think so many things shattered for the group. I think hope, certainly for Rick, it was a pivotal point in him and his change to move much more towards Shane's pragmatism rather than the sort of humanity. I think a lot of things broke in that moment.
And I think, I also think it's important to point out Melissa McBride has been phenomenal, because, Carol's character, you just sort of think of as like, she was in this abusive relationship, she's, whatever, how strong of a character can she be? And she's been like a rock.
I'm telling you, the first time I came to the camp in season 1 in episode 3, and there's a sort of a camera shot, a steady cam that follows me through my first morning, and she'd washed my clothes, and she says one thing to me. She just says, and it was like 2 words, and I went, and John was there, and I went, who the fuck is that? Because it was just like, I've never seen anything like it. I was like, she's just real. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was just great. Breathtaking. And Ed as well, who played the husband.
Yeah.
Just wild. I mean, but Melissa, I think in the back 8 has got the line of the series. She has a scene with Mike Rooker, and she said,
bang, you're right.
It's just awesome. The great. I know I'm not.
What's the line? What is it?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't say
not
it.
going to tell
I
them.
explode.
How does it end?
It's not to give too much away, but it's right after they find the cure, and then. Oh no!
Super Walmart.
Super Target.
Target.
Come on,
Target,
man.
actually.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But she's amazing. She's amazing, and maybe I'm reading into this. I always feel like there's almost something between Daryl and Carol.
Oh, there's a lot. It's just not that yet. You know what I'm saying?
Officer?
I've been very lucky that I've had a lot of scenes with Melissa, and she's so good. She's really, and I started off my relationship with her in the 3rd episode of the 1st season, when she takes the pickaxe and hits her husband in the head with it. And I kept telling the special effects guys, I'm like, put more junk on the axe, make it bloodier. So every take, it was worse. And she just, at the end, it was like, just took it from me. Well, we started this little friendship like that. But I mean, the thing about
We're not
friendships
weird.
go, that's how they're built. But
It's what you bond over.
yeah, right. But I like the fact that it's these two damaged people that gravitate towards each other for that reason. If there's a little kissy thing to come, like I want to play that like I have no game at all. Like I want her to make the move, and I just kind of want to just whimper. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh my God, that would be so. What are you doing to me?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's so weird.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Sarah's Laurie, his wife. I started off like really eyeballing her, like not like that, but eyeballing her like, what's that about? Like I thought that was going to turn into a storyline because you know, like remember the scene that got cut with the garbanzo beans and all that, right? Yeah. You know, like taking a drink of that thing. Like she was the first one I slid the bottle to. Like I was starting to try to be like, what's this lovey-dovey thing about? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm glad I don't have a lot of game, is all I'm trying to say. You know?
Yeah, well, especially like, you know, finding her in the bowels of the prison, and it's just like there's just so many nice moments developing between you guys, and I feel like she's taunting you a little bit, and you're always just like, nah, I can't.
As she does in real life, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, she does.
Well, I mean, I go play, you know, with the little town that we film in, we go play pool and stuff, and she would just sit there all sweet and just school me. I mean, she's got some cards up her sleeve. That
here's some questions for Lauren Cohan. Question. Wow, there's like 9 of them.
Just one.
Okay. Maggie wants trying to find the best one.
That first one.
Preparation, Hardwick. Come on.
Preparation. Come on.
I'll be with you in a minute. What's been the hardest scene to shoot the first half of the season? Because it was, I mean, obviously this was a super intense half of the season, but for you, whether it be physically demanding or emotionally demanding, like what was your most challenging scene?
Definitely the scene with Scott when we think Herschel's going to go. Not just because he has a deviated septum. Scott has a really, really charming, his nose sounds like he's snoring, so when you're pouring your guts out, you think he's asleep. But it's a deviated septum. No, but I think that scene was...
Yeah, I'm just saying.
a couple of times.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
This guy's a really good actor. He seems like he's asleep. Yeah, he's actually asleep.
I'd say that was one of the more challenging ones, just because I felt like I really poured my guts out, and then afterwards felt like, oh man, I just cried in front of my crew, and yeah, that was a pretty challenging one, and I don't know, all the discomfort that came with the scene that David and I had really just fed the scene, you know. So, and it served the scene, I think, as it had to. But yeah, it'd be hard to pick. It's all hard.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene is the moment of comedy that we do have, which I feel like is reserved for Maggie and Glenn when we actually have like a fun moment in the guard tower. And
oh yeah. Where you pop up without a shirt and you're like, hey everybody.
We're just having sex, yeah.
Daryl, you should totally try this with Carol. It's awesome.
The blessed levity.
Do you think? How do you think I mean, I hate to ask this question, but it is a question that your characters, I'm sure, ask themselves. But how do you think your characters would do without each other? Whether you got separated or if we lost one of you, like how would either of you go on with the relationship that you've developed?
It's interesting. I think we've learned so much and strengthened so much from having each other. Like I know that my character has now been faced with things she probably never imagined, as all the characters have actually. But I think we've become a hell of a lot stronger. I don't know if you'd have that one moment of have you got the fight left in you if you didn't have someone that you were really.
That's a tough question. I think that drives a lot of even the second season. I mean, the second half. You know, just having Maggie in Glenn's eyes be absolutely violated. How does he move forward from there? Like, where does his attention go towards? Is there trust broken? Is there rage? Is there actual intelligent thought in his head? and does that ruin relationships? And I think the great dynamic between Maggie and Glenn is the fact that it's, you know, you don't want to say they're like Wonder Twins where like they're always together and they're doing something together, but it's definitely the other is strong when the other is weak, and it's vice versa that way. And I think you see glimpses of that, you know, throughout even the first half of the season.
Yeah.
So I love those two characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm curious about how do you think Andrea sees relationships? Like, what is her take on them? Can she fall in love, or is it just like, you know, this is right for now, or what do you think she sees?
Well, I mean, that's the sad thing about Andrea's journey is that I think that after she lost Amy and when she lost Dale, that I think she didn't think that she would ever really find love again, or you know, have a family or feel that deeply. I mean, she's been blessed because she found love with, you know, her best friend. But the sad thing is that I think that she really believed that she could have romantic love, that she could have the fairy tale, and it was a lie.
Yeah, but she doesn't necessarily know that yet for this situation.
Yet, but it's unfolding. I mean, it's all the signs are there. He's not the man she thought that he was.
Maybe I misread this, but I feel like was it the last episode? I almost felt like she was flirting with Merle a little bit, or at least she was warm to him.
Okay. My line to him was, he goes, "Why didn't we ever hook up?" And I said, "You called me a whore and a rug muncher."
Right?
Now,
is that your idea of flirting?
That is a flirting word.
Is this what you use?
What? Didn't anybody read the game? You know.
No, there was no flirting with Merle. That was just sass. That was just sass.
Not flirting, but there definitely was, like, it wasn't like, oh, go to hell. You know, like, there was definitely...
Negging.
Negging. He negged her, yeah. But it was like a playful moment that they had together. And I was like, oh, man. You know?
But, I mean, I think she has a sense of humor. I mean, he called her a whore and a rug muncher, among other things.
Sure.
And now he's saying, "Hey, babe, why don't we hook up?" It's like, must I remind you? You know? I mean, it's like, it's funny. It's cheeky.
Yeah.
Hey, here's
but,
your shot. You gotta, you know.
You know, but no, I don't think that there was ever a chance for Merle and Andrea to hook up.
How do you think Andrea would be as a leader, like as a group leader? She's super strong, good shot.
You know, I feel in many ways she is. I think it's just kind of like opportunity.
Right.
Is the resolutive design. I mean, it's just. I think she's doing the best that she can under the given circumstances, and you're going to see in the second part of the season that she does rise to the occasion to the best of her ability, and does show, you know, the strength that that people know, the strength that Robert Kirkman created, that Andrea that everybody fell in love in the comic books, that she's back.
Yeah. What do you see, without giving anything away, obviously, what do you see happening to the governor's character from here on out? Because obviously, turning point, eye patch, it's on.
Yeah, he bumps into a lot of things. That's basically what happens.
Yeah, the steps are hard to negotiate.
Yeah, you know, he gets angry all the time because he keeps banging his head.
Who put this there? Come on, guys.
I moved that.
The glass in the eye.
I think, you know, he's full of anger and he's closing down, and there's a nihilistic attitude going on inside him. But, you know, is there enough of him to sort of listen to the people with reason in his party, people like Andrea and Milton and people like that? You know, can they reason with him? These two communities seem to be on this collision course, but will there be diplomacy at play within the two communities as well? Who will win out? You know, will it become about, you know, more jaw rather than war sort of a situation? So, you know, it's about how the good and bad inside, and which one will win that fight. And, you know, it's never as easy as, it's never as clear as one winning out totally and the other one losing. it's a very muddy world that they're about to get involved with.
Right.
And everybody has to make compromised choices in this world about whether they're going to survive and their people are going to survive, and that's what has to happen.
Yeah, and now with with basically his #1 guy, Merle, being kicked out.
Yeah, but then he might get someone else. You know what I mean? It's about how he decides to go on his own or with his community. It's about whether Andrea takes up the reins of the leader of that community. You know, whether the people will listen. Who will they listen to? You know, at the end of this season, we've seen the community are baying for blood. Mm-hmm. And he can square that by saying, I'm giving them what they want. It's some sort of Caesar-like moment. But it's the people who are asking for it. And you can always square it with that, you know.
I was so interested to see that he just, up until that last part, he had Merle on a pretty short leash. Like this is like the one time whenever you would walk in, then Merle would kind of like get submissive.
I think the time the ticking clock starts is when he's on there, he's with Merle, and Merle says, Andrea says, my brother's still alive, he's out there somewhere. And he knows from that minute on he's got a problem. Yeah. He's got a problem with this man because he's built this man. The leash on this man is the fact that you're better off here, your brother's dead. As soon as he gets that hope is the hardest thing to cope with, I think. Because as soon as Merle has hope that his brother is out there, he becomes uncontrollable for the government. Right.
So just in closing, in a couple more minutes, what are you guys looking forward to in this second half of the season? Let's start with you, Stephen.
I'm looking forward to just kind of seeing everyone continue to evolve as they do. Everyone show that they're not a. What I love about the show is nobody's a perfect character. There's no that's that guy, that's that guy, that's that guy. There's always like, oh, wait, I thought he was like this, and then all of a sudden he changes and realistically changes. And so I'm excited for people to see that.
Cool, Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how all this business with the governor is divisive for the group, and I think it's going to be interesting seeing how the good guys respond under pressure.
Mm-hmm. Norman?
The same, really. I mean, everybody's so complex. I mean, all these characters are they start off one way and they turn into another thing. And watching Carl turn into this monster warrior, badass kid, and this lovey-dovey thing and that lovey-dovey thing and this broken-hearted thing, this badass. I mean, there's so much stuff going on, and there's not a weak link in our chain right now. So I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, Danai?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I think it'll be cool to see Michonne sort of open up a little bit.
Is she on? Do you think she's on anyone's side at this point, or is she just on Michonne's side?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait. But I mean, come on. I mean, I think at the end of the episode, I think there are things she does, but the way she does things it just gets a little confusing to people watching her, and that's what she wants. Right. But I mean, her actions, I think, have involved, her showing her side. She does help Rick's group get to people who had been abducted, who she had a lot of problems with.
I mean, she's
being abducted.
You guys playing with the? Are you trying to? It's just that moment. I mean, she has good instincts too. It's like the second they get to Woodbury. And the governor's like, how about some tea? She's like, we have to get out of here.
I mean, firstly, the guy calls himself the governor. Like, I didn't vote. Right. Where was the election? I didn't even get an absentee ballot, Right. So, like, it's really kind of like, who does this guy think he is? And why does all these dudes follow him around like he's Jesus? He's not. Yeah. So, I don't see him walking on water and healing the blind. He can't heal his own eye. So. Oh! Damn! Sorry about that. That was good.
That got a little real. That got a little real.
Good.
Wait a second.
By the way, I love David. We enjoyed that.
Oh, don't stop.
It's got to be fun to sort of play the sort of antagonist, like kind of a character that would be perceived as a villain, though, right?
But he's not a villain. He's a good guy. God's sake.
It's got to be hard to play the most evil, pernicious.
In the history of television.
In the history of
or comic books.
All media. This is an interesting question for Andrew Lincoln. Hi, my name is Peter, and I am from Latvia.
Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Hello.
No, Chris.
My question is for Andrew Lincoln. I love the way this is phrased, and now that I read that the first part is that, anyway, you're an inspiration as an actor, and so is your character on The Walking Dead. I wanted to know if there is going to be more breakdowns this season from Rick, like, for instance, when Laurie died. I love the what's a break? Right.
Yes, I don't think he's fully out of the woods yet.
Right.
Peter from Latvia.
Peter from Latvia.
But I am looking, just in answer to the question before, episode 12 is my favorite episode since the pilot, for so many reasons, and I'm just really looking excited to see the audience reaction to that one.
Oh yeah. So you must get from people, like, when you go out in public, people are like, oh my God, blah blah blah, and they just start.
Yeah.
How do you sort of, because you know, people were certainly familiar with you before, but now you're on the biggest show on television, and so I'm sure, you know.
Well, they don't. I've moved out of London into the countryside, and they're not really Walking Dead people out there. So it's perfect. Yet. Although there is a guy from Brazil who works in the coffee shop who freaked out when he saw me. I was wearing Wellington boots and it was just being me.
You could totally freak that guy out if you just came in and just did the Southern accent and be like, it's all messed up out there. Have any guns? Oh my God, what do I do? Just put on the badge. Is that a Brazilian
He's Italian. The guy.
I know.
He's Italian.
What was that
He's Italian
accent?
Giuseppe.
Well, I was born in Italy. I lived in Brazil for a little bit of time.
Oh my God, what do I do?
And then I work in the suburbs of England. Who wants a pizza? It's Mario. But I'm half Italian. I can do that accent. Sorry. But do you ever, since doing the show, so you've moved, you have this nice house in the countryside, do you kind of look around and go, yeah, I probably should fix up the cellar just in case? I mean, do you sort of, would you feel like you'd be protected?
That's exactly what we've been doing in the interim. We've been building bits, bunkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can't not get into your head a little bit, like, just in case.
But yeah, funnily enough, this season was the only season I started to have nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know, yeah.
Well, it's hard. I mean, you guys, you know, again, it's not, you know, for an actor, I would imagine, and I host shows, so it's not like I go home and I'm like, I'm still hosting. Like, I can but you guys, you know, you go to such emotional depths, and so how do you shake that off after a 12-hour day?
It's easy. If you're breaking down and crying for, you know, having a sort of shattering experience, you get to do it. You get to get rid of it. It's a catharsis. It's great. You should. And, you know, I don't subscribe to the idea that people should punish everyone else. If there's a bad scene or a difficult scene, no one else should suffer.
Right.
It's your job to do it. And it's a luxury. My acting teacher always said that you'd celebrate. Even if you're pouring your guts out, you should enjoy it. It's a joyous thing, because not many people, I mean, this is why, you know, people have breakdowns in reality, because they don't get to exercise that, and exercise
that as well.
And yeah.
Well, it's we're just about at the end of the program, but the show premieres this Sunday night on AMC, and then Talking Dead will be on immediately afterwards for a full hour. We're going to be on a full hour this season. I know. Well, we wanted to give the fans a little more time. Like, we're going to put a microphone in the audience and get more fan questions, and the show always felt a little rushed before. So, but it's going to be interesting to see. You know, you have this imminent war happening in Woodbury, and then these exposed survivors where there's a baby, a child, a one-legged guy. You know, like. Hashtag
parrot.
Herschel. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, are we going to get to see some of that when? Oh, why won't you tell me anything?
No, there's going to be all kinds of awesome stuff.
Okay,
it's going to
good.
be great.
Good.
People are going to love it. They're going to be like, "What am I seeing? This is amazing."
Everyone's so mad.
Spot on. So that is this Sunday night. You guys, thank you so much for coming tonight. Please help me thank YEUN, COHAN, Maggie, David Morrissey, Laurie Holden, Greg Nicotero, Gale and HURD, Robert Kirkman, I'm Chris Hardwick. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, you guys. Have a good night.